Good morning, everyone. You are listening to Table for Two with Naomi Nachman on the Nachum Segal Network. Our show is sponsored by Abels and Hyman. We taste better. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Naomi Nachman. I'm about all the food, all the time. I love food. I love to shop for it, cook it, eat at restaurants, anything food related. I'm a kosher personal chef. My business is called the Aussie Gourmet, and I cater for people for Shabbos, for Yom Tov. Anytime you don't feel like cooking, give me a call. I hope you'll tune in every week and hear about my exciting food adventures, and there are a lot of them, and my kosher food traveling and my sharing of great ideas and recipes and amazing guests. But I want to hear about your experiences too, so you can feel free to email me, naomi@nachumsegal.com. You can join my Facebook page. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter. I don't know. What else am I leaving out? Facebook, everything, I'm on it. So, you know, if you ate at a great restaurant, have a fabulous meal, or made something fabulous, let me know and we'll discuss it. Just want to tell you a couple of food experiences that I had within the last week or so. I went to a recently renovated restaurant in the Five Towns called the Coffee Bar. I hadn't been there in a while. Then I had gone in with some friends for lunch, and I saw that they had redone the menu, and it was actually really nice. I liked it before, but now I liked it even better. I had fish tacos, absolutely obsessed with fish tacos, and it was absolutely delicious. I just want to give them a shout out. If you are in the Five Towns or you're making a trip over there, check out the Coffee Bar and eat the fish tacos. They also have really big salads and paninis and all kinds of delicious coffees. So, and their Starbucks and the milk are all Chal Yisrael. So, you know, it's really nice to have Starbucks coffee with Chal Yisrael milk. If that's what you need, they got it. CKCA in Brooklyn, the Kosher Center for Kosher Culinary Center for Culinary Kosher. What am I missing there, Avi? Kosher Culinary Arts. There you go. Avi is a graduate, but we'll talk about Avi in a minute. And CKCA, they're actually having a men's class coming up, so you can go to ckca.com and sign up. And they are actually doing a giveaway for our listeners. So of a recreational cooking class. So I just want to thank Jesse and Arlette for doing this for us. If you want to win a free recreational cooking class from CKCA, all you have to do is two things this time. Usually it's just emailing me, but this time you have to email me, naomi@nachumsegal.com, and you have to either join their Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook page, or their newsletter. If you're not on social media, you can at least join their newsletter. So you can, I'm going to pick a winner and make sure that you're on one of those platforms, and then you will win a free recreational cooking class. So that was, I think that's a really exciting giveaway. We've usually only done cookbooks. So now we're very excited to have a cooking class. We have an action-packed show. I'm going to be walking away from this class so hungry. I have in the studio, remember last week I mentioned last week's show was the Women's Gab Fest about food. This week is the Men's Gab Fest about food. I have restaurant owner Avi Roth from Gotham Burger, and then I have kitchen surfing chef, right? I could say kitchen surfing chef Eric Bolyard, and I have the kitchen surfing kosher coordinator, it was right, or also chassid and hipster. He's also known as chassid and hipster, Yuda Schlass. But Yuda, you want to give us your proper title, what you're doing for kitchen surfing?
Yeah, I guess I could say I'm the head of the kosher department for kitchen surfing.
For the coordinating of the kosher.
Yeah, between the chefs, customers, no, pretty much right on.
You are everywhere. I never heard of kitchen surfing till I was invited back in July, and I've spoken about it a million times on the show because I've become obsessed with you guys. But I finally was able to, I can't tell you how lucky I am to have these three guys in at once for our men's show today. So we're going to just start off a little bit with Avi, and then we're going to switch over to you guys, and you can hear ladies and listeners and gentlemen, whoever's listening. This is going to be one really exciting show today because, you know, Avi and I met a couple months ago when Nachum Segal Network had an event at Gotham Burger, and I got to try the delights of your restaurant.
Thank you.
And it was so much fun. But then I got invited back by Alan Kornblum and Melinda Strauss. Alan runs the Great Kosher Restaurant magazine. And by the way, we're in the last week of the scavenger hunt. So that's been a lot of fun. And we came up to the restaurant, and I'm like, I spoke about, people know that I spoke about the chicken and waffles. I am absolutely obsessed.
I'm so glad that we could help you in your obsession with chicken and waffles.
With chicken and waffles. It's so funny because, I know it's a very southern food, so it was very cool. So before we get to the actual restaurant, let's hear a little bit about you. What's your background? I know it did not start off in the kitchen.
It did not start off in the kitchen. I did doctoral work at Columbia University in developmental psychology.
So you're Dr. Avi Roth.
Yeah.
Let's give him the proper title. Do we have that down?
I don't go by doctor, and I worked with kids with different learning disabilities. And I always loved cooking. And when the economy changed and this Kosher culinary school opened up, it just seemed like a great time to see what it was all about and kind of hone skills. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience there. Jesse and the chefs there are just amazing. And I was doing some consulting work, and I sold my portion of my learning centers to my partner, and I started just working in different restaurants to see what it was like. And then I was approached by a couple people to open up a quality comfort food type of restaurant, and we settled on Gotham Burger. And
why Gotham? What?
Gotham,
I think of Batman.
Right. So, it's funny because people come to me all the time and say, was it a Batman reference or was it Got Hamburger? Because Gotham Burger is Got Hamburger. And it's nice that it was both things, but the truth is Gotham, as used in the DC Comics, is just for synonymous with big city, with New York. And our first thought was to put it into New York, and finding a location proved challenging in the inception, and we stumbled upon a great space in New Jersey. And the idea was that if we're going to be successful, we would have Gotham Burgers throughout, hopefully everywhere.
Tri-state area.
There you go. And beyond. And Gotham Burger is just synonymous with big city burger. So that was kind of the idea behind it. Actually, a chef friend of mine who runs Nobo in New Jersey.
Been there.
Josh Masson actually was the one who kind of came up with the name. We were kicking around different names, and he was like, "What about Gotham?" And I'm like, "I'm sure it's taken," and it wasn't. So we were lucky to have it. I know.
It's so out there.
Yeah, we were excited about getting the name.
Okay, well, it's great. So I've not been to the Tinnick one, but what's your most popular burger?
So right now we just rolled out a different blend in the meat, and we've been doing a brisket burger, which is heavy with brisket, and it has been really
brisket?
It's finely chopped brisket. It has some of the other elements that we had in our original burger, but it's very heavy with brisket meat in it, and we found that people really, really love it. They just absolutely, they loved the burger, and this one just is on a different elevation. So that's been a very popular burger. We've tried to kind of branch out and do things at Gotham that really haven't been done in the kosher circles.
Like what?
So what we just did this past week, and it has been exceptionally well received.
Okay.
Is a quesadilla burger.
A quesadilla burger.
Yeah, inspired by the Applebee's.
I think quesadilla cheese.
Right. So we have a par of cheese that we've been using that has been exceptionally good.
Have you used any par of cheeses?
I haven't used par of cheeses, but I've made cashew cheese to go along with some sandwiches. But I've seen some pretty good brands out there that work well.
It was challenging finding a brand, but there's a new brand that's on the market that has been exceptionally good, and Jewish stores are starting to carry it now.
What is that?
Daiya.
Oh,
Daiya, I believe it's spelled.
Well, I wonder if Gourmet
And they have about 6 or 7 different types. They have brick cheese, they have slices, and they have shredded. I believe they have mozzarella and cheddar, which we use. They have a pepper jack cheese, which we use on our we use on our beef nachos, which you had the fortune of trying.
Oh, no way. That was that? Oh,
yes.
Nice.
So
okay, can we just talk about that?
Sure.
I've even seen blue cheese, par of blue cheese out there.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't loved that, but
injecting the mold into it.
Well, you have to kind of love blue cheese to begin with, and then
I love blue cheese. The parve one for me didn't have the consistency and taste that I loved. I also tried it with the wings, because you're going with a blue cheese with a hot wing, and I wanted to love it.
And
I didn't love it. I didn't love it. And we went with a ranch dressing instead with the thing. But they're constantly improving on a lot of these things, especially the vegan. There's a huge push for vegan options, and they're doing a lot of great work in terms of making it acceptable and therefore helping to branch out, and it just helps the kosher market that much more.
Oh, yum, yum, yum. Now, when I was there with Alana and Melinda, we had this, what was it called? The
beef nachos.
The beef nachos. It was amazing. It was huge, and you can go onto my Instagram page and have a look at this gigantic platter that you put out for us. It was fabulous. What was in that? What was all the different layers?
We make a homemade tortilla, and then we put our signature chili on that, and then we melt pepper jack cheese, the parve cheese, obviously, on top of that. Then we layer it with guacamole, and then we do a homemade pico de gallo sauce, and then we put a little tafuti sour cream on top. And that's the breakdown of that
was
beef nacho dish.
Absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
I wish I could sit here in the studio eating it, but it's probably one of the messiest dishes. Yeah, just slip down and eat down here.
It does not carry well. We've been wrapping each individual segment separately
and people
for takeout.
Can pour it together themselves.
Right, exactly.
Okay, very nice. Okay, now what is the key for a good burger? Like, you're a home cook, burgers are your thing,
So, first of all, again, we live in a pretty great time where you can go into a lot of the higher end supermarkets, like a Gourmet Glatt, and ask for the butcher to blend a couple of meats for you together.
Okay, yeah.
And they'll do that for you. And I think that getting a fresh ground meat is the first start to making.
What do you mean fresh ground meat? Not something sitting in the showcase?
Correct.
Why does that make a difference?
Because first of all, you're putting in the blend that you want into that meat.
Okay.
And what's really important, and I know this is going to come off upsetting to some, is the fat content.
You want a little fat.
You do. I know that a lot of butcher shops and a lot of supermarkets are pushing the leaner meats. Lean tend to burn faster and don't add as much flavor. You want something that's full of flavor. And the truth is that through the cooking process, a lot of that fat is going to get taken out of the meat. So you want a nice, usually people have an 80-20 blend, and now I've seen in a lot of supermarkets a 90-10 blend. We try to do something a little fattier, 70-30.
So you can go to your butcher and say, I want 70-30.
Exactly. And your butcher would love to do that because fat is much less expensive.
Right. So what kind of meats do we ask our butcher for?
So ground chuck eye, ground chuck.
I think Schiffer Klein taught us that once on Joy of Kosher.
That's pretty much the standard burger meat. In our blends, we use a certain amount of brisket and even some short rib meat. Now, when you blend those together, you're going to get a completely different taste.
Very heavy meat flavor, right?
And the freshest ingredients. I mean, if you're buying that meat for that day, you're going to taste the difference. If you season it with a little salt and pepper, that's all you need. Because truthfully, the meat is going to speak for itself. The freshness of the meat is what you want to taste in that burger. The sauce that you add to it, the accoutrements, whether the tomato and the lettuce.
Accoutrements. That's such a fancy word for.
That's my doctor coming in. The add-ons.
The add-ons, the accoutrements, the add-ons, the condiments, maybe.
So those things are going to be. You want to get the freshest possible ingredients, but I'm a firm believer as a purist in terms of burger. You don't want to add. You don't want to. My father had a great burger recipe, and he had barbecue sauce, and he had breadcrumbs and eggs and different things. And to me, that's a meatloaf. I love him.
Meatloaf
but that's
on the grill,
meatloaf burger.
Okay, I totally see that.
So I want the burger itself to be the showcase.
Okay, now let's talk about sauces. What did you call it?
The accoutrements.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing. It's a great word. I'm going to try to keep that in my rotation there.
Perfect.
I like a little sauce. I'm all about the sauce.
Okay.
Right? So what would be...
I don't think you're alone in that. I think most people find that the sauce drives. In fact, McDonald's success was on its special sauce.
Right.
I mean, a burger was a burger, but once they added that special sauce, everybody was
It
coming back to the
ties
sauce.
everything together. I like a sauce with everything,
I mean,
without drowning it.
I will tell you, we're Gotham Burger, and definitely our number one seller is a burger, but our number two seller are our chicken fingers, and primarily because people want to dip into different sauces. We do
and you
about
have
10 different specialty sauces that we make in-house, and people just, they come in and they're like, and it's funny because we talk to the waiters about trying to limit, because each one, and they're like, I'll have all the sauces. I'll have all the sauces.
Bring them all.
Yeah, bring them all to me. We'll just try them all.
I
So
love-
it becomes a challenge in that way, but I'm happy that people are loving the sauces that we're doing.
What's the most popular one?
So we have the garlic mayo is certainly
Okay.
the most popular, and the blazing chipotle is like a close second.
It's very hot.
No, it's
Blazing
actually-
and chipotle just sound.
You think that it's going to be hot? We have
Mouth on fire.
we have two very hot ones: a mango habanero and a lemon pepper. And those are because of the habanero pepper that we use in the lemon pepper, and the mango habanero that we use in the mango habanero. Those two are very spicy. The blazing chipotle is a little milder. You get a little tang from the chipotle, but it's very mild. So it's not too. I find that Jewish palates tend to rotate towards the sweeter side. We do
Sweeter.
have people who like hot.
They're hot.
But even our wings, our signature, like Gotham wings, are sweeter. They have a sweeter finish. And the more popular sauces are the raspberry chipotle or the cranberry barbecue, which both tend to be sweeter.
And these are all creations from your head.
Yeah, in consultation with some
Yeah.
of the chefs that we worked with. I mean, I loved certain things that I did, and I played around for 2-3 years just taking different recipes, and someone would come along and do something different, and it would be better. And I'd be like, okay,
Great.
I'm not crazy. This is better than what I thought of.
Right,
So we went
right.
that way. The chicken and waffles is not
Chicken-
it's not my idea. It's a Southern thing. It's, from the deep South, and it's a very popular among African Americans.
How did you get that chicken, that fried chicken, to be so moist? Because it can either be raw or overcooked.
Right. So that there's something to the batter, to how you batter it, but also it's really kind of, we're very fortunate. We have a special pressure fryer.
A
that does
pressure
it.
fryer?
Yes. So Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken fame
Kentucky
came
Fried
up
Chicken.
with a way to really get, like, kind of speed up the cooking process. And pressure cookers were all the rage. And he
Right.
said, why can't we do it with a fryer? And he came up with a mechanism that was a pressure fryer. And we have one in New Jersey and one in New York. And it really does limit the time that it's in there. It works on a lower heat, lower oil, so that you're not burning at such a hot rate. And it cooks it much juicier, much
Right,
more.
it's much juicier without the whole greasy,
Right. So
I know that's all about getting the oil temperature just so.
Correct. And again, and also making sure the oil is very clean, and and really kind of the breading and stuff like that, you really have to kind of sift through it, because I for those of you who have a tabletop fryer at home, and I do,
I do not. I use my pot with an instant with an oil thermometer.
much to my wife's chagrin, the tabletop
almost
fryer
Hanukkah, you can get one.
can get very messy at the bottom because of all the bits of the
Schmutz.
the breadcrumbs and the different things that you drop in there. So really keeping that clean, and it'll give it a different taste.
Okay, that's great. I think everybody must make a reservation as soon as possible. I was like davening on Yom Tov thinking about chicken and waffles because we came right after Rosh Hashanah. It was crazy. I was like, really, I'm really obsessed with that. So I'm going to have to stop by soon. I actually tried to come on Sukkot, but the Sukkot
Was down, yeah.
the Sukkot was down. So
much to our chagrin.
Yeah.
The Department of Buildings had other
right, and the
plans.
one in Manhattan. So you have two locations, one on the Upper West Side, and there's plenty
Right.
of street parking. I've never had trouble finding parking
Yeah,
there.
and that area really does allow for a lot of open spaces.
For lots
Yeah.
of metered parking. Just remember to check your meters. Check your set your iPhone timers for an hour, so you
Right.
remember to go back, because sometimes they're 1 hour, sometimes they're 2 hour spots. And there's also one in Teaneck, and we can find you. How do we find you on Facebook and Instagram?
GothamBurgers.com is the website, and you can join our Facebook pages. We constantly promote and update different exciting things that we're doing in New Jersey. We just got 2 pit barrel smokers, and we've been smoking racks of ribs and pulled brisket sandwiches And
It's right up your alley,
we're,
guys.
we're right now doing we're going to be doing for November turkey legs, and we've done deep fried turkeys in our pressure fryer.
Oh, we want to do that.
And we actually just my partner in New Jersey just came up with a corn muffin, which is outstanding. So we're
So we
really
can all
excited.
actually get our Thanksgiving dinner from you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Or from you. But you're traveling, I think.
I am. I'm going to be away, unfortunately.
I know. I'm also.
I wouldn't deep fry a whole turkey in your little pot on the stove.
No way. I'm going to get a special deep fryer.
Yeah, that could get messy.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know how to find Avi and his amazing restaurants and fabulous food. I look forward to more restaurants.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
My pleasure. Any final thoughts that you want to share? How about you do the What's for Dinner segment? So our What's for Dinner segment is sponsored by our friends at Gourmet Glatt. And you know what I say? What's for dinner, Mum? Reservations at Gotham. But really, we like to give out a recipe. So Avi said that he would share a recipe.
Sure. This is a pretty simple recipe, and it's a little bit of a divergent from we do a lot of catering, so we get a chance to kind of flex our culinary muscle. We're actually doing a bar mitzvah in Brooklyn tomorrow,
Oh,
and
nice.
this is on the menu. And this
Okay.
is a really simple, really interesting recipe.
Grab
where-
pen and paper. Stop what you're doing. Grab some pen and
and
paper.
we do this a lot for Friday night for like an appetizer.
Okay.
So it's mustard mashed potatoes
Okay.
with garlic spinach and then a piece of honey mustard salmon on top.
Okay.
Okay, this is a really, really simple recipe.
Okay, let's start with the potato.
You peel 4 or 5 Yukon potatoes, okay, boil them, mash them down with about 2 or 3 pats of margarine, maybe a 1/4 cup of soy milk, salt and pepper, and then you're going to add a coarse mustard. You know that grainy
yes, grainy
mustard?
very popular in
Yes.
Australia. I know
So-
Gourmet Glatt sells it.
You can use, there are a couple of great brands, and you can just add that in. You will not get a heavy mustard taste, but those seeds look beautiful. They just look beautiful.
Yeah, they're fabulous.
Okay, you're going to put that on the bottom of the plate. Then you're going to take spinach. You can buy bags of spinach,
Yeah.
even pre-washed and
Pre-checked, yeah.
correct. You're going to put that into a hot frying pan with a little bit of oil. What I like to do with my oil, if I get a chance, is take a garlic clove, cut it, wrap it in some silver foil, add a little bit of salt and a little bit of oil, and then take the top part that I cut off and put it in the bottom of the aluminum pan and add some oil. Once that oil cools down, you drain that oil off, and you've got flavored garlic oil.
Oh, yum.
And you don't have to pay $10.99 or $12.99 for garlic oil. I put a little of that garlic oil into the pan with a couple of cuts of garlic. If you want, you can use minced garlic, and then you put the spinach in. The spinach will wilt almost immediately. You take all of that out, and that's going to be your second layer. So just over the mashed potatoes, you're going to put that garlic spinach down.
Okay.
The salmon, it's really all about freshness. I have a great fish store in Teaneck, but I'm sure Gourmet Glatt has
Yeah, Aussie's fish is
great
fabulous, or in your neighbourhood. You
Correct.
get to know your fishmonger. You want to ask him the freshest.
fresh piece of salmon.
I just came from Alaska. Fresh
There you
salmon.
go.
Woohoo!
Right. So you're going to take that piece of salmon, you're going to put it in an aluminum pan, an 8x11 aluminum pan, little salt and pepper on both sides. If you can get, and this is a key, a fresh piece of thyme, a fresh piece of oregano, rosemary, any kind of fresh herb, but really fresh, not out of your,
Package.
right. You're going to put that in there, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of lemon juice, and a little white wine, because who
Course.
doesn't love a little white wine? And you're
don't
going to
know.
just put that, cover it with a foil, and bake that for about 30 minutes on 350. Now you're going to take that out, and you're going to have a lovely piece of salmon. You're going to put that right on top of that spinach, and then you take a little more white wine, a little more oil, and a little honey and mustard, and mix that up and just pour it over the top. The colors are beautiful, and you have the white with a little yellow flecks or black flecks from the mustard standing out. You have that green from the spinach. You have that salmon on top, which is pink, and then you have this yellow drizzle.
Do we have a
coming
picture?
over.
Can you send me a picture?
I will absolutely.
You're going to send me
you
a picture, and I'm going to post that on my Instagram page so people can see it, because that's fabulous. And if they want the recipe,
we will post it on our Facebook
you'll
page.
Post that on your
Gotham
Facebook.
Burger.
Go to
Absolutely.
Gotham Burger, like their page, and in the next, we won't give you too much pressure. You'll put that up in the next week or two. And
Perfect.
thank you so much. That
You're
was great.
so
That was
welcome.
our fabulous What's for Dinner segment.
Fantastic. And it shouldn't take more than really the cooking of the fish. You can get the potatoes boiling and the
You can
stuff being-
multitask this one all at once.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Women are fabulous at multitasking. Me, I have to do everything separate.
There you go. Avi, thank you so much
You're
for
so
joining me
welcome.
today.
You're so welcome.
Can I just get Yuda and Avi to switch seats so we can have Yuda up front? The most travelled man I know right now. Okay. And Eric's about to do lots of travelling. Okay, so I have in the hot seat. I know it's little. I don't know why they made it so short. You know, this seat is very low down. Is
Oh, I kind of like it this way.
yeah, okay. We'll see eye to eye now.
Closer to the earth.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. Spoken like a true chef. How's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. I do travel a lot, but happy to be in New York for this week to catch you and do the show.
Yeah, that worked out really well. Like Eric and I were talking over the texting, and we're like, "I got to get you on the show."
Yeah, I was really happy that Yuda was able to join because we've been together since the get-go of Kosher kitchen surfing. He kind of recruited me, and we fostered this relationship. And it's like now we're kind of attached at the hip, but he's overseas all the time.
I know, lucky guy, but it might be a bit annoying sometimes.
Yeah, some days when you're on the plane, it's annoying, but once you get to your destination and get to
Do what you love.
do what you love, meet back with all the friends, and get to taste all the new food additions in that city, and bring it back to where you're going or bring it forward. That's always fun. And really, Eric is like the perfect example of why I got so excited about doing Kosher for kitchen surfing. At first I was thinking, okay, so all right, it's an online platform. There's a lot of chefs.
Yeah, talk about what actual, cause for people who haven't heard my spiel before, or I don't know if this is the right word, gushing about kitchen surfing and the dinner. What is kitchensurfing.com?
Well, kitchensurfing.com, in a few simple lines, is online platform where talented chefs have their own profiles and customers could connect and book any chef they like of any type of cuisine for any type of event they are looking for. So, if you just want to surprise your wife for dinner, or do a little party, or a Sheva Brachos, or a Friday night meal, there's a full array of chefs, and all you need to do is just go on there, pick a cuisine. There's a full array of chefs that are trained in kosher, and anything you want is available through there. It's great because the kosher food world, the palette has expanded, and although
tremendously, thanks to you, Avi, and all the
thanks to Avi and a few other great kosher improvements out there. But I think that still for many kosher consumers, there's still limited access to trying new kinds of foods. And the best way to do that is really if you have access to all these chefs that work in many great restaurants. So Eric, for example, comes from 11 Madison Park and a few other restaurants.
which is a very famous
Michelin star rated non-kosher restaurant.
So I say what Michelin star is. I know, but I don't know.
Eric
all of
could give a
why
background
don't you
on
go?
11 Madison Park and the Michelin system.
I left there at the end of this past year. I was there 2.5 years, and then they're rated 3 out of 3 Michelin stars. There's only 5 cities in the...
What's a Michelin? What does that mean, Michelin star? Because we have maybe guests who aren't familiar with it.
It's a global restaurant rating system. There's essentially judges in different cities. It's started as like a guide for travel, people on the road, and then eventually turned into a renowned restaurant guide, kind of setting the bar for the best of the best in different cities around the world. And yes, 11 Madison happens to be.
And you were one of the chefs.
Yes.
So that's what made, we know, because I've eaten your food, that's what made them 3 stars, having you there.
Oh, I can't take full credit, but
Okay, and your team.
I'll take some. I'll take some.
Yeah. Oh, you turned my house into a Michelin star restaurant, so I was
Yeah.
very happy about that.
For 2 days.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll come a little bit back to that in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, so the idea that you could actually have what I would consider as the backbone of every successful restaurant is the chefs like Eric that really are toiling away in the kitchen, not just the name, the executive chef name that people know, but have that chef come to your house and prepare a meal according to the things you like. And maybe if you're adventurous, you let the chef really, do their thing. I think it's particularly exciting in general, but to have that in kosher is like really unheard of. So when I did the first supper club with Eric and actually another chef, collaboration with another chef from Kitchen Surfing.
Is that when I came to your house?
That was
July 1st?
Yeah, July
Okay.
1st. And if you remember, it was quite an event of having all these different style foods. Eric has his own unique style. He loves using seasonal stuff that he sources locally. And
We spoke about that last week on our show. We spoke about using local farmers and
yeah, exactly. I mean, using local is something that's amazing because the quality of the food is just going to be
That much better. Yeah.
And anyone's been to Israel, you know that anytime you eat in restaurants over there, everything really is local over there. It's coming from the farm that's like a couple hours away.
Yeah,
You
it's-
travel the whole country.
The whole country.
It's the standard.
It's the standard.
It-
I don't
now
think you get.
There's been the locavore movement, quote unquote, over the last, say, 5, 6, 7 years, but it's become more standard now here as well. Nonetheless, we need to keep driving that forward. It shouldn't be thought of as such a separate entity of locavore versus not. It just should be the norm.
Yeah,
Right.
it should be the standard. I agree with that. Sometimes people think about it that it's not as accessible, but because sometimes going to your local supermarket is, just easy. It's down the block, but you'll end up getting a much better food, both quality and health-wise.
We were actually
if you-
talking about doing a trip. Some of our listeners joining us in the spring and going to some farmers markets either out in Connecticut or joining us in Manhattan at Union Square, because I think that would be cool to just have an education, because
Yeah.
I don't think we know enough
Once
about
you're there and you see everything in front of you, especially in like the peak of the season, I mean, it's hard to
Go back.
think differently about it after that. It's just like inspiring when you see all of these vendors from all over the state, tri-state area, and they're just like shoving the most phenomenal produce in front of you,
Yeah.
and you go in circles. Like,
Right.
Where do I start? But
Kid
it's
in a
great.
candy store.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the inspiration with that also is great because I think conventional thinking for most people is when they're thinking about what to make for dinner or what to do a recipe. They're thinking about the main part of the dish and they're thinking about protein and thinking about, okay, I want to make chicken, what could go with it? Where when you really think about, you go to somewhere like Union Square Market and you see a lemon cucumber, now you're thinking,
A what?
what could I do with that? And that's, I think, one of the ingredients Eric picked up
Yeah.
the day we did the dinner at your home.
Lemon cucumber. I don't even know what that is.
Looks like a lemon.
Looks like a lemon. and
a
it's-
little brighter in flavor than your standard,
Lemon.
English cucumber in a plastic.
But what
you know.
what did you put it in? What was it in? Do you remember?
Yeah. of
You have your
course
notes
it-
there.
I remember it. Everything. It was shaved raw, and charred in the spring pea veloute that we did
Right.
as a garnish in the soup.
You can go onto my Facebook page and see, Instagram page and see that.
Yeah, Judah took a cool picture of that one.
That
Yeah.
was cool, and I like the whole video thing.
Yeah,
that you
the
did at
time
my
lapse
house.
was also a good way of capturing what goes into putting a meal like that together, and try to compress it in 60 seconds or less.
Eric showed up at my house. The dinner was Wednesday night. Eric showed up at my house on Tuesday morning with a truckload of
Yeah, there's
stuff.
like 4 boxes.
Four
from
boxes
Gourmet
Gourmet Glatt. He did all the shopping at Gourmet Glatt, and it was and also at the farmers market out here in Union Square.
Yes.
I'm saying out here because I'm in Manhattan at the studio. But it was 2 days of solid cooking for the most incredible meal of a lifetime. Lots of people. Once you had put it out through the Kitchen Surfing email, I shared it on Facebook, and people paid to come to this dinner. It was like 7 courses, and it was plus 3 or 4 appetizers, and we did some wine. We had a wine tasting with Jay Buxbaum. and it was like one of the most incredible, memorable meals. My mother always talks about having memorable meals. The meals should not just be, in and out dining. See, memorable meal that I had at your restaurant, the chicken and the waffles. I know it's on a different spectrum from some of the stuff that we ate, but it's just got to be fabulous. And that was, yours was fabulous and yours was fabulous.
I love chicken and waffles as much as anyone.
Oh, now you should join us.
I get tired of seeing this intricate stuff sometimes,
Yes. So, you spent 2 days preparing, and everything was cut perfect in unison, tiny squares or fine, like it was unreal. And
yeah, you had the smoking gun outside in your backyard, infusing the tomatoes just to have that little vinaigrette that goes together with the dish. It's all about all the elements that go into every dish.
I was outside in the backyard, and I was smoking yellow tomatoes from the green market, and Naomi comes running out with her camera videoing.
Yeah, you can see that on Instagram, my Instagram page. It has a video of Eric smoking tomatoes in my backyard. Zima tomatoes, I've not seen them around so much. I don't think they're in season right now.
No.
But it was a beautiful roast. What kind of meat was that?
It was a ribeye, yeah.
A ribeye, with a yellow Zima tomato sauce on top.
And summer beans from the green market, sherry vinegar, yeah.
That was unreal. See, I'd like that recipe. We need some of the recipes. I'm going to have to write that down afterwards. But let's just talk a little bit about chassid and hipster, because I think you're a little bit synonymous with that also. I don't know if you're so involved. And that's how I first heard about you, actually, was from, probably Shlomo Klein. Probably liked you on Facebook.
Joy of Kosher,
Joy of Kosher. And then I probably liked the page. I saw that you do these gourmet sandwiches.
Yeah, I think to me it kind of came about in a hobby kind of way. I was always thinking about kosher food and reading about all the different trends in Brooklyn, where it's kind of like the Silicon Valley of food, where things are constantly happening and innovative things. So and I live in Crown Heights part of the time, and Crown Heights is a good combo of the Hasids and the hipsters all kind of moving in, and
that's him.
Not quite mingling, but just kind of coexisting, and maybe sometimes you could find some in Basel and sometimes in other places. And
Basel, the restaurant, there's a restaurant called Basel.
Right, Basel, the restaurant, and
as opposed to the spice, the herb. Yeah,
that's true. It is, and I thought. In food as well, you think about food and that there's the old style traditional food, maybe like brisket and that kind of thing. And then there's the new style, which would be like more the hip stuff. So if I could, I was thinking about how to create new things that both use traditional Jewish foods and maybe some, new innovative techniques like using sous vides or the smoking gun or anything like that.
Can you just say what sous vide is?
Sous vide is just an immersion circulator in French. And it's just a way of cooking your anything really in a precise temperature, so you end up with the most perfect cooked, whether it's meat or fish, texture-wise, flavor-wise, or vegetables. It's really an amazing piece, and I mark my words, within the next decade, I think everyone's going to have one in their home. It's just...
So it's kind of like you're cooking something in a water bath.
Yeah, I like to call it a jacuzzi for food. Just think about it like yourself. How much do you love just sitting in that tub? And food loves it too. As long as it's not too hot and not too cold. And I think every ingredient wants to be treated in its best way, and the only real way to do that is if you're immersing it in something that could control the precise temperature. So when you put something in an oven, really, first of all, every oven acts differently, and the temperature circulates differently, and the top of the meat is going to get more, and the middle is going to get different. So if you do it in this form, you end up really with the most perfect cooked food. And then you could always finish it off and sear it, or if you want that extra color or extra texture, that's easy enough. And so to me, using techniques like that, with equipment like that, and bringing it together.
Haven't you done a cholent sous vide?
Yeah, I have done a sous vide cholent.
That's crazy.
And, people think about cholent as a stew that's been kind of, cooking overnight, and, everything's very kind of heavy. And when I did it, I kind of broke down all the ingredients, and I just I took the barley and cooked it separately, and it was just perfectly tender and not just kind of mushing in the cholent. So I think someone that's used to eating cholent and wants the traditional thing, I think that's great too. I love it too. But if you could do it in a new way and imagine a cholent where you have a medium rare but falling apart short rib on top of perfectly tendered flour grain and the potatoes and the sauce in there and the same flavors and spices that you would put in there, but it just the textures are different and the flavors are there. It's just something, for me, it's fun to do. So
it sounds so complicated, but probably not, right? I mean, when you put it in the water bath, you're not just putting it straight into the water. You're putting it in a vacuum bag.
Correct.
Bag,
you
and
have
then you put that in the water. Some people are listening and they've got to try to picture it in their head. So I'm trying to create an image.
Everything needs to go into a bag, so this way you keep all the flavors. You don't want to, if you just put a piece of food in a bath of water, the water is just going to draw out all the flavors. So you could use a vacuum packer, or really a Ziploc is fine as well, as long as you kind of push out all the air. And in that bag, you would add your flavors, whether it's an infused garlic oil or spices or herbs or anything like that, and then you seal it, and that's it's all in that little pouch, just kind of the juice is just cooking it itself, and that's the way you do it with the sous vide. So
you're compressing the flavors into the product, and then the temperature is like within 1/10 of a degree of where you're intending it to. So you could set it and then
set it and forget it.
Yeah, you can overcook something; it'll start to break it down, but eventually, but it's very fun and accurate, and it has its applications.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm searing and roasting a beautiful piece of meat is one way to do it, of course. This is just I like Judah's mindset of taking traditional things and giving people a fresh take on what it could be, or elevate it in a way that is not always been seen.
Yeah, I would say I like keeping some of the flavors and that flavor profile, but just trying to play around a little bit with the textures and maybe introduce a different kind of cut of meat that you weren't normally used to. I know beef cheeks are now very popular, but I remember when it was cheap because no one wanted it, or oxtail or those kind of things. So that's a good indicator that that people in the Jewish community and the kosher eating community
we're catching up.
Not just catching up, they want more and they desire more, and they're constantly looking for something. And they when they listen to a radio show like this, they're not just it's not just background, they're actually drawing inspiration from it, and they end up using it in their day-to-day dinners. Well
said. Thank you.
Yeah. But I think also back to the sous vide thing, I think to me the perfect example of how the sous vide really works is when I first poached eggs in a sous vide. And I don't know I haven't met a person that doesn't like poached eggs and doesn't like it on anything. I mean, I can't think of a dish that just doesn't go with that.
I made a BLT this week with beef fry from Abels and Hyman, and I put on a poached egg on top.
Right.
It was so good.
And
I cooked the egg in the fat of the meat.
Ah, even better.
It was the sunny side up. It wasn't poached. It was sunny side up in beef fry.
Yeah, put fat in it, and it's good. It's good already. But you look at, if you walk into, let's say, Williams-Sonoma, there's probably a shelf full of different gadgets of how to make the most perfect poached egg, a silicone pouch, and different slotted spoons.
So why don't you give us a technique?
Things.
Give us your...
And, I mean, I could give techniques, but I think, to me, the sous vide was the perfect. All you need to do is you turn on this machine, and this circulates the water, and you put it to, and this is where you see the difference in the slight temperature. So if you turn it on and you put it to 140 degrees.
You can actually, you set the water temperature.
You set the water temperature. You could set it to a point of a degree. So you set it to 140 degrees, and you take an egg, and you just put it in that bath. You don't break it. You don't do anything. And you put it in there for 60 minutes. And
60
after that,
minutes?
60 minutes. It's not that.
To poach an egg in 60 minutes?
Well, you don't have to stand there. You could go and watch TV.
I thought it took 3 minutes.
3 minutes when you're doing it in your pot, but this is when you're doing it in your pot.
So you got to talk into the microphone.
Yeah, when you're doing it in your pot, the temperature is a lot different.
Oh, okay, there you go.
You're gonna end up, with a different texture. But then all you need to do is you pull that egg out and you just crack it open, and there's a perfect poached egg.
Oh, you take the whole egg.
Yeah. So imagine you went to the supermarket and you bought a carton of eggs, and every egg you opened was just perfectly poached already.
Oh,
you don't have to do anything. But if you just dial up the temperature on the thing and you do it to 141 degrees, you will see that the yolk now will be just a little bit firmer, so it would spill a little bit slower. 142 degrees and just a slight more, and you could really tell the difference. So you could really play with it and do it the way you like it. So if you like it a little more runny or a little less, that's the way to do it.
Eric did the fish, the fluke in that, right? Was fluke
Yes.
that night?
And yeah, we did it sous vide.
That was the
Put some
talk of the night.
aromatics in there in the bag, like some fresh thyme, like Avi said, some olive oil, some sumac, some Middle Eastern berry, a little spice, and yeah, for I think around 53 degrees Celsius, set it up for maybe 6 or 7 minutes. This perfectly poached fish, and then bring it out, ready to go.
Fantastic.
A little finishing salt for a little crunch, a little texture,
So people actually call up Kitchen Surfing and hire you to cook in their house.
They do.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say they call. Really, with today's generation where,
Yeah.
everyone wants anything on demand, Uber being the example. So there's no real phone call taking place, but you can go online and you browse the chef and you'll see a chef like Eric over there, and you could actually read his background. You could see reviews about him, and then you could just send him a direct message and say, "Hey, Eric, I want to do a birthday party," and you could see some of his menus. You could pick one of them. Eric, I know, likes to do his menus based on the seasonal ingredients, so you might see a menu from fall and it's summertime, so he'll tell you, "Listen, I'll get you something good from the green market." And there are plenty of other chefs too. There are also home style chefs, and if you sometimes
I'm more of the home style chef.
right, but not sometimes someone just wants they're coming back from a trip. Let's say they were away in Israel and they're coming back on Thursday. They're tired. They just want a nice home cooked Friday night dinner, and they want their traditional food. There are chefs that could do that just the way you like.
Are you all over the United States or based mainly in New York?
Kitchen Surfing is headquarters in New York, but we have chefs in New York, in Los Angeles, Chicago, and
Because we have listeners all over the country, so it's nice
and
to know.
Berlin too.
Berlin?
Yeah. And
Cool.
DC just opened, didn't
Washington D.C. was just launched. But really, there's talented chefs everywhere in the world, so it's just a matter of putting the platform in all these markets and finding the kosher talent, or in some cases finding chefs like Eric that know the kosher cuisine but just need a little bit more direction on where they could source the kosher ingredients and what they could do. Or I think for some chefs it's challenging when they come to someone's home and they can't come with their own equipment, so it's kind of a little bit of an unknown.
Right.
When there's not enough quart containers to store
Right.
the mise en place, as we call it.
But we did it good. I got
Well, you have your catering things, so
Right.
there was more in the basement. But if there's not enough stuff to put my partially cooked food in,
the prep
that
work.
drives me insane.
Right.
Well, I go out and buy like 30 more
Right.
every
right.
time I do an event now.
No, it's good. It's the prep work, and we can talk a little bit about that. The prep work is huge. That goes into any Shabbat dinner or weeknight dinner. Even a simple dinner. That you were talking about, that Avi was talking about. You just got to be organized. I know that. I don't know if people can see. There's a little yellow notepad there, and that was left at my house by accident 2 months ago, and I put it aside. For Eric, but that's his prep notes, his sheets. I can't survive without being organized. I'm doing, a catering job next week, and, already a week before I'm prepping and planning, and just, when people are overwhelmed, if you take 5 minutes a day or 2 or 3 in advance, or even a week in advance, it helps so much with cooking.
Absolutely.
I mean, if there's one thing I learned from cooking in a Michelin star kitchen is this organization, discipline, and like being completely.
Yeah, what can you share
always
with
have
us?
a plan.
Always,
Yeah,
What,
I have lists on lists on lists. And
if you've got a
my
big
shopping
dinner,
list, and then I have a prep list, and then I have a list for the components of each dish when I'm finishing the execution of that meal. So that's like my number one key to
Right.
success at
is
this point.
keeping
being
lists and being on.
Beyond organized, yeah.
And all the containers. I mean, there really were. I still have some containers that got, with the little blue lids.
Everything
those
has to be
Ziploc.
very consolidated, and but it helps.
Yeah.
Well, when you have so many elements, part of every dish, you must have organized way of keeping them. Otherwise, when it comes time, you got 20 people who are ready to eat. They're not going to sit around and wait until you find, every little thing. So you got to be organized. I think also a trait that most talented chefs or good chefs have is that they're also able to adopt on the fly, any situation.
Right.
They're in a place, I mean, you see it in a lot of those, reality shows or whatever, they give them one frying pan and one charcoal and like make me breakfast, and somehow they manage to pull something together. But that's one of the traits, is that you're able to just, think on your feet in action.
Yeah, and I think at kitchen surfing, you go into all these different people's homes, in Manhattan and Brooklyn and, in 5 towns I've done a few events as well. But you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
It could be a tiny little galley kitchen with no space to plate, no space for pots or pans. And, that's tricky. But being organized is the first step to being successful in any environment.
Right. So you don't need to have a big kitchen. Eric will come and cook in your kitchen. We just got to be organized. And he adapts, right? Like, I think we all 100%. Need to. You think on your feet in the kitchen. I call it sometimes finding your inner chef. And as a home, a lot of our listeners are home cooks, and they shouldn't get stumped over if they don't have something. Oh my God, I forgot that. You just adapt and try to make something else work.
I've been in a lot more high stress environments in those fine dining kitchens, and I always say now doing the kitchen surfing, when I'm in an unfamiliar environment, there's no problems, only solutions.
There you go.
That's
I like
how
that.
You got to think about
I like
it.
That.
Don't freak out.
Now, Eric, you told me when we were texting that you're going to go traveling soon. Where are you going in the world?
Well, like Juda's always, missing in action. I was cooking in Italy in May, in Veneto in the north at a friend's restaurant. Shot over to Copenhagen for a couple days for that whole Nordic, phenomenal Nordic culinary scene, just to check it out. And now been doing kitchen surfing in between. And I'm headed to Southeast Asia on Tuesday.
Oh, we got you in right beforehand.
Yeah.
Lucky us.
Just, a lot of my food is travel inspired. And like Judah said earlier, is like, bringing those things home, how people are served, the different types of hospitality, and, the inspiration for the product, different things you've never seen, And I think that could translate to the kosher realm as well, because
I can't wait to see what you're going to bring for us.
There's products of the green market that I can get, and bring it in, do some kosher meals, kitchen surfing, and it's exciting, it's new, it's unfamiliar, and it opens up the mind to more new things. It's a snowball effect. So I'm hoping to. I've been to Europe so many times. I'm dying to go to Asia. So.
Like what countries? China, Japan?
No, I'm going to Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam.
Oh, nice. You're going to meet a lot of Australian tourists there. It's a very big hotspot, Vietnam.
Pretty close to home, yeah.
Yeah.
But the street food there, I'm sure I'm super psyched.
Yeah,
We're going to get some inspiration, bring it back.
You just got to adapt some of their street food to be kosher.
I'm sure you'll be seeing some like Vietnamese kosher menus popping up on my kitchen surfing profile in December.
Wait. We don't
Seriously,
have that.
I got to.
Thai cooking's kind of make a bit of a burst on the kosher scene.
Yeah.
But there aren't kosher Thai restaurants yet, as far as I know. Do you know, Avi?
Not.
There's a microphone there.
Not in New York. There's one in L.A. actually.
And there's actually one in Miami. Oh, Beverly Thai. I've been there in
one in L.A., one in Miami. There's like 30
on this block up here on Grand
kosher,
Street.
But why not? There's like this.
Well, I know at least 3 chefs on kitchen surfing that could come and do authentic Thai in your home.
Yeah.
Right, like we're not seeing that.
No, again, it's a question of just, branching out,
educating
and finding a market. It's, when you were talking about finding the right ingredients and being prepared. I speak to people all the time in the restaurant who say, I'm in the middle of doing something and I didn't realize I need this ingredient. And you were talking about finding your inner chef, which is great. For a lot of people who don't do this as a regular thing, it becomes a very maddening experience. Being prepared makes a huge difference. And I've been in kitchens where I've cooked where it really is like cooking on a boat, where you're in a tiny, tiny space and trying to make that work. But the preparedness really makes a huge difference.
Right.
Once you do that and you get comfortable in that, branching out to different things, trying new things, and, also not being afraid to fail in anything, really going out there and trying something, I love when someone eats the food and, has the expression that you guys had when you came in and you were trying something that we were trying new and stuff. But what drives you is when someone comes in and tastes something and says, you know what? I didn't love it. And I'm like, really? What did you love about it? Tell me. And people are scared sometimes to let you know, but when they do, you can really try to improve upon what you're doing. And like with a home chef, with people who cook at home, that's really, when you take those bold risks, that's where you get a big payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the answer is simple. I think Avi just needs to do a Thai burger, and everyone can just come and try it.
Let's go up now and create something.
Next week's menu, Thai burger.
Coconut, lemongrass, right?
Yeah,
Am I getting
some basil and
there's sometimes I get a lot of Australian cookbooks, and sometimes they have stuff in there that's because we have so many. We're closer to Asia, so they're recipes. They're non-kosher cookbooks, but you can adapt the shrimp into fish and kosher fish. But sometimes, like, I never see kefir lime.
Lime leaf.
You never see that in gourmet glatt, but you can.
you can get it in other markets.
Right, but
what's that great kosher Australian cookbook collection of
the Monday Morning Cooking
Monday
Club.
Morning? That's
I just had them on my radio show.
Oh, that's a fantastic
book.
cookbook,
Yeah, but they have a lot more like out there cuisine than say a typical New York kosher cookbook. American kosher.
Their second book, I think, is a little more adventurous.
More adventurous, yeah. So we actually had a giveaway of their book about last week. We announced the winner. But that's been a fabulous cookbook. But I think we can't get so many ingredients here kosher that they can get in Australia because they're nearer to the area,
Right.
I guess. And they've sent rabbis out to Thailand and certify things that we're not.
I think
seeing
they'll
here.
probably disagree. They think they have the bottom of the pile over there. They can't get this. They can't get that.
I found curry paste there,
Yeah.
green curry paste. I've never seen in America.
They used to have it over here, but they stopped importing it. It's available. It's one brand that's also available in Israel: red and green curry paste.
Yeah, I have it. I brought it back with me.
But for some reason, they stopped. It was an online source that was you could get it from. I think they just stopped importing it.
So do I have the last bottle in America? I may have the last.
No, I think
package.
I have a few in my pantry. But
Okay. Well, you and I, let's sell them. We'll make a fortune.
However, the truth is, all you have to do is look online and look at maybe 3 or 4 recipes, and you can make your own.
Right. Absolutely.
You don't have to be
Online.
afraid of you see a recipe that has red curry paste. You're like, where am I going to get that? Just look at 3-4 recipes. You'll get the idea behind it, and maybe you can't use fish sauce, but a little bit of miso maybe gives that flavor.
I see fish sauce and oyster sauce in a lot of Asian recipes. What can we use to adapt?
Typically the vegan solution for the fish sauce is some kind of combination of miso and soy sauce. But I think you
miso.
just
You want to bring out those umami flavors. It's like
dried shiitake mushrooms. If you use if you reconstitute them and use the broth as part of your base for any of those things, would bring that umami flavor.
That would substitute.
That would substitute. That would bring that saltiness that you would get from that fish.
What's umami flavor? Guys?
Umami is that
like a
Because I don't even know what that
the
is.
6th flavor that Japanese guy or founded, and it comes. You could also get kosher kombu, which is a type of seaweed that really is part of every umami flavor. And
really, it's that flavor that you can't put your finger on, but
Your
it exists
palate's
in
craving.
tomatoes, it exists in soy and
I want to eat it.
mushrooms and
Yeah.
some Parmesan cheese. These have umami flavors. That's
Richer,
why they're
richer.
so addictive.
Umamis. Can you spell that so people can?
UMAMI.
yeah.
That's the way people
Google
can
it.
do a little.
Yeah,
Right. Do
check
a little
out
of your own research.
Wikipedia, and you'll find out a lot
And if
about
you,
it.
Yeah, if you share it with me, I'll be happy to give you the shout out for the research that you've done. I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
But or if you've had an experience with it and a fabulous one, you can tell me the bad ones too. But I'd like to hear about it and share about it. That's really
In Israel, you could get a kosher version of fish sauce. I found it over there, but
Can you bring some back
again-
on your
Yeah,
next
you got to
trip?
bring
yeah,
some back.
I'll bring
because
them back next week when I'm on my
in
trip
Vietnam,
there
they
again.
use it all over the place, and I would love to use it here
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, excellent. We have your mission. Guys, it's been an incredible show. This is Table for Two with Naomi Nachman on the Nachum Siegel Network. We have had an action-packed men's gabbing fest, which is nice. Avi Roth from Gotham Burger, make your reservations, and thank you for the What's for Dinner segment. Eric Bolyard, thank you so much for joining us, kitchensurfing.com. They can find out more information from you. And, of course, Yuda Schlass from Hasidim Hista and the director of the Kosher.
Section at kitchensurfing.com.
There you go.
Yep, just go to the website. You'll see the kosher tab over there and great selection of menus and chefs, and
Great.
make a party.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Shabbat dinner by Kitchen Surfing. Have a good week. Shabbat shalom. Stay tuned. We have music sponsored by our guests, by our friends from Kedem Music, sponsored by music. I'm having a hard time with this. We have music sponsored by our friends at Kedem. There you go. I did it. Yay. Shabbat shalom to everyone. And we'll see you next week from Kosher Fest.